So usually the designer's main concern is user needs and user retention, but product designer goes one step further, caring about the product cycle, the client's wishes and needs, and all that level above only users, right?
Yeah, so I guess a product designer is an umbrella term for all the other ones. So in practice, as a product designer, you do the work of a UX and UI designer, so you're working on usability and the whole visual part. You're also doing the research and talking to the client and doing the user testing and everything. But basically, a product designer should be able to not only do the user experience and the visual part, we are here to also address the business needs and see if the idea is viable for the markets, how it will perform, and connect that with the technical constraints that we have.
It's similar, but not the same. I think that the product designers are like upgraded versions of UX UI designers. They both need to develop and to create great designs, think about usability. But product designer also needs to have that business aspect in his mind, to think about product strategy and to shape the product to fit some business goals and the product roadmap.
Aesthetics is important, but not as much. The focus here is user experience as well as the business goals and perspective. So the UI and the aesthetics come at the end for us, and I don't know, we spent a lot of time on the aesthetic part in earlier part of our careers, so it's kind of the easier part, right? The look and feel. But there are a lot of cases where clients come with their own images and brands, and we just need to adapt to them, and we focus on features and user experience.
How do you bring value in a project?
Okay, I think our biggest value is to bring clarity. I think we are not, I wouldn't say the only ones, but our main priority is to figure out how to bring value to the user while also bringing value to the business and making sure that the lives of our developers are not super difficult. So that means that we have to bring clarity into the equation and address the whole range of requests. So we can prioritize and then decide what needs to be done and when.
CTO's primary responsibility is technical feasibility and scalability, so of course design is not their first thought, but they usually come around after a few stages and they see the value in it once they remember who are they making this for and who gives them the opportunity to continue doing that. A designer is product-minded basically if he's open-minded. So that means it's not only about identifying with the users, but also taking in all the factors that affect the product and its cycle.
And when it comes to design itself, I think it's important that we can predict how things are going to evolve. So we can try to design things in a way that are scalable. So all the components that we create, all the file setup, all the features, the flows have to take into account the potential to scale in the future. So that avoids extra work and extra iteration later on.
Okay, so I really think that the product designer needs to be product-minded, and how to achieve that. So maybe there's a time that you work on several projects and you jump from one meeting to another meeting and you are like overwhelmed. And it's always a good practice to be in one team on one project, because you can fully understand the pain points, the problems of a project. You are constantly speaking with the client, having conversation about your product, and that's the only way you can be a really product-minded designer.
How important is that you are involved in the very early stages of a product, and how are you involved?
Yeah, I think that designer needs to be involved in the first interviews, first conversations with client, first project alignments and everything, to be able to shape the problem, and after that to shape the solution for that problem. So we need to know the client, know their wishes, know the market, be involved in competitor analysis, market research, all these things to be able to shape a product and to shape a product and a solution for the problem.
It's important that designers are there at the start of the project, because somebody needs to take care of the user perspective and their values, and in the end the users are the ones that will keep your product alive, make it a success or flop.
Okay, when translating an idea into a product, I focus on user flows mostly, because at the beginning we can have the idea of a solution, but we need to visualize that somehow, and the wireframes are too complicated at the beginning. So I start with user flows, and then I present that to the team, we iterate them, and when the user flows are confirmed, we start with the wireframes.
We try to validate the idea by talking to the users, by talking to the client to figure out what the business needs are, and then connect them with the user needs. And then all of that we have to take into account what are the resources that we have available, the budget, and what are the technical constraints that we have. So basically a good idea is great, but it has to work in the market, it has to work for the business, for the user, and be doable.
Was there a situation where you needed radically to change the whole design because of a business input?
Yeah, we had one project that we started with the design as a native mobile app, and there was a decision, I think 2 or 3 weeks after we started with the designs, that we need to move to a web solution. So we needed to choose a different design system to redefine our layouts, our flows. And I think that my colleague and we tackled that problem together. So we had only 1 week to change everything and to be in line with the scope and development. And yeah, I was redefining the layouts and the flows, and she was redoing the design system, and we managed it.
What kind of projects you were able to work on as a young designer?
Well,
Great career already.
I had the opportunity to work on a lot of different projects. So everything from startups, from the messiest of ideas that the client doesn't even know what they want. They have a little spark of an idea, and then it's on us to figure out what's the value on the market might be, all the way up to Fortune 500 companies. That's it's a big enterprise already, and you are just dropped into the project where you have to continue developing new features or iterating the old ones, and your job is mainly to work alongside developers to find a way to display all the data that they have.
I worked on many complex projects, but the complexity came from different angles in them. So there were projects that were complex in team structure, having large teams with few designers and a lot of developers, engineers focused on technical perspective. And also there were projects that were smaller teams but complex in content or scope or timeline, or maybe even the number of platforms and how they interact with each other.
Can you a bit further explain how you work with developers, QAs, how are QAs involved, in your opinion, if they need to be involved maybe in the early stages also?
Yeah, I need to say that I love to work with developers and QAs. I love when a project moves from that discovery phase to development phase. And at the beginning of every project, we have that alignment with developers and QAs, and I allow to get to know the developers, because each developer is different and they have their own pace of work and processes that they do and how they do things. But at the beginning of each project, we have an alignment how we will do things. So how will I hand over my project, and there's a lot to learn from developers. So my responsibility as a designer is to listen to developers, to hear their problems and maybe some pain points that they have regarding the designs, and to know not everything, but some things about technology that they use, because you need to know the technical requirements or constraints or something that is like making an impact on your app. So yeah, one thing I think that all developers love and appreciate about designers are clean and tidy Figma file. So you need to have that if you want to have a good relation with developers. And that's it. I think you need to also be able to listen to them, to have a tidy Figma file, to have good notes, and to talk with them. So collaboration is the key. So you need to talk with them on daily level. So daily things are really important, and yeah.
Of course, the designer needs to communicate and collaborate on a high level with all the team members. But I could maybe highlight two specific relationships with the client and with developer, which are totally different. So let's say with a developer, there's a funny dynamic between designers and developers that we fight a lot and disagree a lot. But then again, we are the closest with what we do, and in the end, we are usually on good terms. And then with clients, it's a totally different story. With clients, the frequency of communication is maybe the most important. Being there, describing what your status is, where we are at with what, and that's maybe the main thing that client values.
I think that one of the most important things are that the clients are involved from early stages of the project. So they need to be involved in early workshops where we ideate, where we talk about the problems, about the users, about their goals, their business aspect of the app, and they need to stay consistent in our conversations, in our workshops, in our meetings. And we'll be like, as a team, appreciate when a client is supportive and like contributes on our meetings and listen to us, and it's evolved and listens to what problems we have, what bugs we have, and they are like a part of a team, not just a client, but a member of a team that also contributes in their own way.
Do you have any strategic approach when gathering feedbacks from all the different people?
I've learned that a lot of people have a lot of opinions, and you have to listen very broadly but act very selectively. So a lot of people will have an opinion or a suggestion, like they will offer you a solution and they will ask for you to change something in the design, but it's always based on a specific problem that they are facing or the user is facing, and it is on us that we kind of figure out what the problem is, so we can then like address it with we can address it head on with a good solution. So they might have an opinion that seems invalid, but if we hear what the problem is, what the problem that the opinion is based on, we can maybe find out an actual UX issue that we can then address, and as designers we can offer a better solution.
Yeah, sometimes we use like chatbots on our meetings to track our notes and to record our meetings. And after a meeting is done, we have our notes done, so we don't waste time to like typing or something like that. Yeah, that's really useful. And also like maybe when we have a notes, we use ChatGPT or some AI plugin to give us like overall result or like some conclusion to everything that we can then transfer to PMs or whoever is in charge of that. Yeah, a good handover starts with conversation with developers. So you need to establish with them the structure of a file that they can follow and they can easily understand. For example, you need to have design system, your components in one page, your design in another page, maybe some notes and feedback or iteration elements in another page. So it's important to have clean and consistent design. And if you are doing iterations, it needs to be consistent, and you need to let them know where those iterations are done, just to be able to follow the whole design. Take design seriously. It's the first thing that will bring your idea to life, and it will shape your products. So without design, development will come to problems, it will be dead ends, and you will be in the loop of debugging or redoing things. So take design process seriously. And also for designers, I would say that you need to test your ideas, test your assumptions in early stages, test on, if possible, real users, but you can always find a user. So we are all users, you can test it always. And yeah, it will help you in next steps in wireframes and design process when you have a clear idea what are you doing.
Have the designer included at the very start, so they can be a part of the process where you are still iterating the idea and seeing how it's going to evolve, and trust them. So if they have an opinion, a perspective, trust that they know that they are speaking from experience, and they value the user, they value your business, and they really care about the product. So we are not there to just make it look nice.
What makes a great product?
Well, I would say that a good product is something that brings the business profit. So it's beneficial for the business, it brings them profit. It solves a real pain point in users' lives, and is technically well executed, I guess. And it looks nice. So